Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts.
This is Mick Foley.
This is Harley Race.
This is Shelton Benjamin.
This is Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff.
This is the Monster Abyss.
And this is Daniel Bryan.
This is JBL, and you're watching the MWF.
Be there live.
You make a mess, they are the best. You make a mess, they do the rest. You make a mess, they're part-time cleaners. Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, welcome to a cleaning lady-less edition of Wrestling Insider Stern but Fair here on WWE Extreme Rules Sunday. I'm Dan Marty, joined by the first Boston Wrestling MWF Heavyweight Champion, now a proud member of the Board of Directors. It's going to be bringing you, in less than 7 weeks, our 20th anniversary, back to the 90s. Live wrestling, fan fest, Q&A extravaganza, Saturday night, November the 13th from Memorial Hall in downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. It is going to be a happening. VIP packages and tickets on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. Here he is, your host with the most, Mr. Tiger Mulligan. Tiger, it is a pleasure to have you with us while as we record this on this fine Sunday morning with the early start time, as we're going to be having the live Extreme Rules watch-along and Connor's Cure Cyber Mega Raffle tonight at 8 o'clock. It's a big night.
Wow, that sounds like something that everybody's got to tune into.
Well, hopefully you and Owen will be there in spirit.
In spirit. It's been a few weeks, my friend. It's good to be back on with you.
Well, we were like the cleaning ladies. We had to take a respite, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, you were away, I was away, we were all away, but we're back at it this week. There's a boatload of stuff going on in the world of professional wrestling that we haven't gotten a chance to talk about just yet, but hopefully we can get it all out today and maybe do a little Extreme Rules preview before everything goes on the air tonight.
What did you think of my tribute to the cleaning ladies not being here?
I'll be honest, your singing is starting to grow on me. I look forward to the song every week. I wasn't sure what you had up your sleeve, but now that I know, I was very thrilled to listen to your rendition of it.
Part-time cleaners.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot better than cleaning women, I'll tell you that much.
It was a little shorter, too, but that's all right. I kind of came up with it on my way here. I said, how can we serenade the fans? I can't do cleaning women because there's no cleaning going on. I said, well, they are part-time cleaners. So then that 80s song popped into my head, and the rest is history. But I ask you this, before we get going, what were you doing 20 years ago this weekend, sir?
20 years ago this weekend? I mean, I don't really remember what I was doing yesterday, let alone 20 years ago, but I can only assume that you're lining me up for either my debut with the MWF up there in, I think it was Revere, Mass, or you're lining me up for when I won the championship, the first ever and uncrowned champion at the MWF up in Boston. But I think I'm going to go with the first one.
Yeah,
was with the first show.
I was going to go. I'm glad that championship meant so much to you that you didn't even remember when you won it. But no, it was actually our debut event.
I've won so many titles in my day. How can I recall every single solitary one?
Just like your women, there've been so many you can't keep track of them all.
My
but
God, I hope my wife ain't listening to this one.
She knows what a tiger on the prowl you were before you met. But nonetheless, yes, it was our debut event at the former home of Extreme Championship Wrestling, Wonderland Greyhound Park, Revere, Massachusetts. You competed in your first match in the company, your first of I don't know how many consecutive wins you went through before you became the first ever Boston Wrestling MWF Heavyweight Champion. That is a story that we'll tell in depth, I'm sure, at some time. John Cena Sr. and myself have a tremendous half hour or so special about 20 years of MWF this Tuesday night before the WWE NXT program and before Wrestling Insider's Extreme Program begins at 10 p.m., so you can either tune in around, I don't know for sure, but I think 7:30 p.m. Tuesday night, or you can watch it in the archives after the fact. But it was quite the endeavor to put together just a couple of weeks after 9/11. Two 21-year-old guys thinking they were going to take over the wrestling universe, and then reality kind of sunk in. It was a tough time for the whole world. Less than 3 weeks after that disastrous day, not too far from where you lived.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, I can remember that day vividly. I was actually supposed to take a flight to Texas, and obviously we got grounded and couldn't leave and do the shows for that week and weekend. But I don't like to dwell on the past too much, but we'll never forget what happened, and I'm glad they got theirs in the end.
Well, if they had the cleaning women down there, they still might be trying to fix everything up down in New York. But as they say, never forget. We won't. In all seriousness, I try to lighten the load a little bit, as you know, and some of our insider fans on the Patreon know. It has been a extreme week for in the world of professional wrestling, but we're not going to go there. It would take up about 10 episodes. I'm so hot under the collar, and I don't even, usually I have my collared shirts on, but to show off my affinity and love for the Cauliflower Alley Club, I have on my CAC shirt for the live watch along tonight, hopefully to encourage some new members to join that fine organization. But it was 20 years ago, this coming Tuesday, that we kick things off. We had Road Dogg. We were supposed to have Jerry the King Lawler, but unfortunately he had to bow out, no pun intended, due to his divorce case with the cat. And we wound up with his son, the late Grandmaster Sexay. We had the Superfly Jimmy Snooker actually going off the top rope as he was nearing the end of his top rope endeavors, if nothing else. We had ECW alumnists, Little Guido and Chris Chetti. In the opening match, the first match in MWF history, we had another former MWF heavyweight champion, Slick Wagner Brown, not only compete but win. So I think that's a nice little historical tidbit. And we have our now board of director member and first champion also competing and winning on that show. Another gentleman that you'll be able to meet in person live Saturday night, November the 13th. So it is certainly shaking up to be a happening. Will you have 8x10s available is what the fans have been asking on Twitter.
Well, it's crazy because I don't have 8x10s right now. But
what about a 4x6?
Well, no, here's the thing.
Oh,
it's funny because I'm actually contemplating getting some because I mean, not for nothing, but some of the promoters, I guess, are trying to go nostalgic or something because I've been getting more and more phone calls and actually turning down bookings because I'm not going to try to pull the wool over anybody's eyes. I don't wrestle anymore. Can I still get in the ring? Sure. But it's not something that I'm really, truly interested in doing. And I've been doing some stuff here and there and started doing commentary for a group down here in New Jersey and, some managing here and there. So the bookings are coming more and more, at least I should say the phone calls are coming more and more. November's completely booked up already.
Wow.
Every weekend, and it's crazy because I haven't taken bookings in I don't know how long. And going into December, that stuff is December's starting to get booked up as well.
Stern but fair, baby.
And it's crazy that now I'm contemplating, do I want to, I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole of opening a pro wrestling tea store and getting all the 8x10s and this and that. But at the same time, I still got to make some money because, I do well on these shows as far as my paydays go, but they're local. So it's a lot of its profit.
I'd go with the 8x10s, if nothing else. The T-shirts, you know what? Sometimes those aren't exactly the cheapest things to pump out. You can have some left over, let's say, at the end of the night. With the 8x10s, if you have a few of those left over, you can always put them to use.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, that's probably
one
the
man's
route I'm gonna end up going. I've also been trying to rack my brain a little bit and stuff that I've done in the past. And I've also been thinking about maybe even just doing like stickers instead of like an 8x10. They're a little bit easier to carry. They're cheaper to produce.
Tiger Mulligan stickers.
Well, I used to have them. So
I never saw one.
The gentleman that I wrestled in that first show, Judas Young, turned me on to this where he was a big proponent of little things like that. And he turned me on to this guy that used to print them for us. And yeah, so, I might go that route because, like I said, it's a little bit easier to carry. They're a bit cheaper to produce, and they're actually cheaper for the fans to purchase. So when instead of selling an 8x10 for, say, $5-10, I can sell a sticker for $2, and you tend to get more sales that way.
Well, I don't want to steal anyone's trade secrets, but that's how John Cena Sr. cleans house with his $1 million bills with his face on them. He charges far less than what an 8x10 would be, and he does pretty good for himself.
Smart way to do it.
Yeah,
I believe it. I believe it because it's funny. People are spending. You see somebody that's a legend out there. So say Hacksaw Jim Duggan's going to charge you $20-25, on the downside for an 8x10 or a picture or whatnot. If I'm only charging, $3 for a sticker, $2 for a sticker, they look at it like, oh, I got an extra $2. Here you go. And now I'm going to start raking it in. So that might be the route I end up going.
Will you sign these stickers?
I mean, it all depends on the mood that I'm in.
All right. Well, I was thinking, the fans are always looking for unique items and unique, autographs and unique photo ops and whatnot. I was thinking of seeing if the cleaning woman wanted to attend, and maybe you could do a trio photo op.
I mean, well, yeah, but then that's going to get expensive. Those cleaning women don't come cheap. You know better than that.
I can't attest to that either way. I don't know.
Yes, you can. Don't lie.
No,
Don't
I
lie
honestly, I have no idea.
No, I know you got nothing to do with it, but I'm sure.
I bet you if they got a couple of comps, they'd come down though.
Oh, I mean, hell yeah, they'd bring mommy. They'd bring mommy and papa.
Grandpa.
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
All right. Anyway, into the world of professional wrestling now. Aside from banter and fun and nonsense, I needed something to laugh about today. I cannot get into what is happening with you guys as of yet, but believe me, there should be a documentary, not a podcast, with everything that has gone on. As our friend here, Mr. Mulligan, knows just the newspaper headlines of, so to speak. But in the world of Major League Professional Wrestling, what's cooking? What's good?
I mean, what's good? I don't know if there's a lot that's good.
That's a good point.
I gotta admit, there's a few things. So, WWE. We'll start with WWE.
Yeah, let's bury them first.
We'll definitely bury them first. I'll actually be fair with them. I did attend the SmackDown at Madison Square Garden. I did enjoy the show. Now, I don't know if it's because I haven't watched it back to see how it looked on TV. But the atmosphere in Madison Square Garden was beyond comparison to anything else. It's just one of those venues that the talent puts in that extra effort. I think Vince, as a whole, puts in extra effort at the Garden. So I was pleased with the show. I thought the dark match beforehand was good. The dark match after the show was good. John Cena was there. So it was overall a very, very good show. I enjoyed it. My son was with me. He thoroughly enjoyed it and kept telling me it was the best day of his life. So that's always, a good thing. Now, on the other hand, the storyline within the show, and I know this is going back a couple weeks, so we probably have to do a little catch up, but I just don't like what they're doing with Finn Balor right now. And I think he's doomed for failure. I think after tonight, you're going to end up seeing him be one of the first guys drafted to Raw. I don't think you're going to see the Demon around anymore because he's going to lose. And because the true story is between Roman and Brock. And I just think that it's too bad for Finn because no matter what he does, it's almost going to be like a Bray Wyatt-esque where he's gonna get killed. And it's unfortunate.
Am I correct in that the Demon has never lost?
You are correct. Yes, 100%.
I have to admit, I am out of the wrestling loop completely between the Cauliflower Alley Club trip we had in Las Vegas for the reunion and the interviews we did with Kevin Sullivan and Godfather and D'Lo and just what I had to work-wise walk back into here at the studio to get the talk shows ready for you guys and we'll call it, to be kind, stress that has gone into Saturday night, November the 13th. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a wrestling show. It's been a couple of weeks probably. I caught a little bit the AEW show at the tennis stadium. But other than that, I've been out of it. But so I think it makes, well, we're going to get into our Extreme Rules talk along later on. So I'll save it for that. But as far as MSG goes, I have to say that and the Lowell Memorial Auditorium up here in Lowell, Massachusetts are probably the best two places in the United States to watch a professional wrestling event, in my opinion. Little Mulligan was very lucky to be able to attend such a fine venue. I'll tell you this to show how much I think of it, if I wasn't headed to Sin City the next morning for the Cauliflower Alley Club reunion, I probably would have gone to the show and we could have met up and had a bro burger or something like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like I said, it was a enjoyable show. Maybe because I just saw the look on my son's face, and where we were in the venue was very close to the ring, and he's never seen anything like that before. So it was. We got to meet up with a friend of mine outside the venue. Unfortunately, because of TV day, it would be one thing for me to go backstage, but then to start bringing other people back, it would be very difficult. Yeah. But to see one of the my friend Sean Bennett, a referee for them, to see him there was great. And then, funny enough, I met Nick Khan outside the venue.
Wow,
as well. So
you should have invited him on the show.
Well, now you know what it was. I saw him and I was like, I'm not sure if that's him or not. And then somebody else was with him, and they just the way that they were dressed, I was like, and the way that he was kind of carrying himself and how he was talking to the security people by where the people go in and where they have the production trucks and stuff. I just said to myself, I'm just going to go see if it's him or not. And it ended up being him. Just said hello, told him about the podcast that we do and that he's been mentioned on it a few times. And if he's got a chance to listen, please do so. And then he had to go back in. But, quick thing there.
He'd probably be humming part-time cleaners if it wasn't a pay-per-view night. Maybe when he catches up during the week.
It's maybe I don't even know what to say to that.
Well, the Bella twins wanted to make a comeback at WrestleMania next year. Maybe they could team up against the cleaning ladies if it's one of their off Sundays.
Yeah, I mean, I hope they put that on the pre-show or the DVD.
But again, no joking aside, fans, if you ever have the chance to attend a live event at Madison Square Garden, especially a non-televised event, I cannot implore you enough to do so. There is no finer facility I can't speak for the entire world, but as someone that, when I did my short stint working with Ed Cohen in WWF, has seen just about every major venue there is in this country, I can't think of a better place to see pro wrestling than MSG. There's just something magic about it. There's something special. There's something historic about it. It brings out the best in everybody. It reminds you of the good that there is in the king of sports, professional wrestling. Now, again, I do know that my good friend Finn Balor is back as the Fiend. I know he's involved with Roman.
The Fiends.
Oh, what did I say?
You said
I'm
the
sorry,
Fiend.
the demon is what I meant. It's hard to keep fiends, demons. It is Halloween almost, but it's hard to keep track of which is which. But, I like the demon. I think they've done him a disservice by trying to go back and forth with it over the years. I would have tried, obviously, you couldn't go with an undefeated streak 5, 6, 7 years with him as the demon. But, I think he could have a very healthy run. I think his merchandise checks would have been much bigger than they would have been with, the smiling Irish guy in the leather coat.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock against him. I think very highly of him. He's a longtime friend. But, sometimes the nature of the beast is what it is. There's a lot more money in demon merchandise than there is in just regular old Finn merchandise, whether it be the red or the blue or the black. And what did they have? Balor Club, when they tried to hustle that off of the Bullet Club. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is.
The way I feel about it is he only brings it out for like the big matches. And, you kind of get that impression of, okay, this is his last ditch effort when it comes to that. And then he usually pulls out the win. Now, unfortunately, I can't foresee him pulling out the win today just because they've already announced Saudi Arabia and, putting, Roman against Brock. That's the big match there. So you got to figure either Roman's going over clean or it's going to be some kind of screw job finish or whatnot. But then why put him in the demon getup? It just doesn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. Because they already hotshotted the Did they ever? And again, I'm trying to go based on memory here, not anything I actually watched. They hotshot the singles match between the two with him as regular Finn, right?
They did. I think I didn't see the match,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure they did it on SmackDown.
Well,
where
they
Roman went over.
probably got another 20,000 viewers off of that, so that was probably a good idea.
Yeah, I guess.
Pun intended.
Yeah.
No, I would have had Finn tap clean in the middle. I would have saved the Demon for whatever the pay-per-view was closest to Halloween.
Yeah, but but there's got to be some kind of story behind it, and
Well, that
essence,
would
there
have
is
been
a story
maybe.
here, but
I would have booked it as, let's see, maybe regular smiling Irishman Finn was oh so close to capturing the championship, but there were Heymans, there was Jimmy, there was Jay, there was all kinds of shenanigans. There was a referee that took a bump. There was a second referee that took a bump. There was a complete and total melee, and as a result, Roman wound up retaining the championship ever so closely, and then just when you think the coast is clear on the next SmackDown, the lights go dim and that demon-esque song plays, and out he comes, covered in face paint, saying, "I get you one more time," live on pay-per-view on blah, 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 and you're not going to get the regular Finn, you're going to get this guy, the Demon. That's maybe how I would have done it, but, Nick, despite maybe possibly humming part-time clean, I did not call to ask my opinion on the booking of the Demon.
And it's too bad that they haven't, because I agree with the way that you book it. And I like what you said. But again, hey, who knows? Maybe they have something further along. Maybe there'll be the big swerve where Finn goes over and they make it a triple threat at Crown Jewel, wherever the hell they're calling it, because I believe that's October. No.
Yeah, it's like a Thursday after. Well, they're all on Thursday afternoon,
Yeah.
so I shouldn't be surprised by that. I believe the date is October 21st.
So I mean, yeah.
That'll be kind of an
It's only
odd
a
one to
couple
do
weeks.
a watch along with, though. I'm trying.
Yeah, don't you have to do it like?
I don't know if
1
I
in
can
the
get
afternoon?
anyone down here at 1:00 in the afternoon to do it with.
Well, I know that I won't be there for that one, so don't
We
count
have
on me.
a priest, Father Jurgen Leas. Maybe he can, after he does his religious program, he could join me for the watch along and maybe bless the superstars of WWE that they actually get home on time on this plane. But anyway,
yeah, I know, right? The last time they were there, they got stuck, right? That's funny.
that's one word.
Anyway,
That's one word you could use.
the other thing about WWE right now that I don't, that I very much dislike, and I'm probably the very much minority in this, is I don't like the fact that they put the title on Big E. I don't like. I think it sucks. Don't get me wrong. Big E might be a great, fun-loving guy in the back and be friends with everybody, but I just don't he's just too much of a goofball. I can't take him serious as a champion. I don't feel it's believable. I get the whole thing with the Money in the Bank and how they did it, and he's going to carry the briefcase and whatnot, and whatever the case might be. But I think it's horrendous booking that they still have the title on him right now, and that he is the champion, and that that people think that it's actually a good thing, and all of this, he deserves it and stuff. I mean, come on.
Why does he
Just because-
deserve it? Because he's been there a long time? Come
Exactly.
on. Enough with
Yeah.
that line of thinking. That's why the business is in the rut it's in right now. He
I
has
agree.
zero credibility as a world champion of any kind. A passable tag team champion, sure. Intercontinental or U.S., depending upon what brand they flip-flop that to, so that title has no credibility, sure. Let him have that one, too. As far as the face of one of the brands go, absolutely not. It's an insult to the fan base that watches. It's the reason why they can't grow the audience whatsoever.
Yeah, I
You might
agree.
be able to
It's-
hotshot the ratings for a week or two. Every time Monday Night Football begins, they panic. Remember a few years ago,
Yeah.
they flushed away a potential WrestleMania main event in Cena and Roman, and they flushed away a potential main event in Lesnar and Strowman on that B pay-per-view, Night of Champions or Clash of Champions, whatever it was that year. And they go into panic mode every year for Monday Night Football, when again, slow and steady wins the race. As I continue to say so often on this and every one of the different talk shows we do, there is no pacing and there is no patience on that show. They have to be realistic that until they come up with something that people want to see, the ratings are going to go down every year on Monday Night Football. Big E is
Yeah.
not the solution. I'm waiting
No.
for the how about this? How about we'll do a little bit more fantasy booking, so to speak, since you liked my last one. What about pretend you're the guy? Well, you know what? It would be kind of tricky where it was a dual brand interaction. But what about we see, instead of the champion standing there like an idiot with the guy's music hitting with him running to the ring, what if the champion takes out the Money in the Bank winner before he ever has a chance to cash it in? What if he tries to decimate him with chair shots or some other kind of incident where they seriously injure the winner of Money in the Bank? I don't think that's ever been done.
I can't recall if that's ever been done. It's not a bad idea. It kind of just prolongs things. I'll be honest, as much as a goofball Baron Corbin is right now, in his gimmick, I liked how they had Baron Corbin steal the briefcase. They could have gone, I thought, gotten some better mileage out of all of that, and they didn't, which is unfortunate. Because technically, if he cashed it in, he would have been able to be a champ. I think I like that aspect of it.
He really would have been happy.
Well, not saying if it was Baron, but it's just you have that prop. Why not use it? Why not put it into some kind of storyline and make it seem like it's a title at that point? Because a contract for the title is just as big as having the title. No, I mean, in my eyes, I think it is. I mean, why not?
We're just, you know, it turns the world title into the 24/7 title, as far as I'm concerned. Now, if it was something treated more seriously, like, okay, you know, you win Money in the Bank, you can pick any TV show, you can pick any pay-per-view to have a title match on and really build it up. Okay, you have me interested. For it's someone's music to just hit and they run out and they do that prolonged struggle between the referee and the participant. Are you sure? 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 I hate that. That drives me insane because they do that every time too. Yeah. It's lost its interest long ago, especially when they do more than one on the Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think they need to do away with the pay-per-view and just keep it as a spectacle match for WrestleMania or something like how they originally did it.
No, I mean that in the fact that they do two matches.
No, I know that's why.
Okay.
Now you're doing. I don't know. I don't want to get off into a tangent about it. I just don't think it's a great idea to have Big E as a champ just because he's been there for 10 plus years or whatever the case might be, or because he's beloved by everybody. I think they made
Bobby Lashley lose to him.
Well, what's even worse about it? Here's what's worse, right? So, take everything out of the equation. All right, you put Big E over. Now that they have this past Monday, they had a 3-way between Roman, Big E, and Bobby Lashley, and now you put Roman over on Bobby. You've completely crushed Bobby Lashley, and now have to rebuild him back up after everything you've just done in the past X amount of months. And what was it? You know, it's been 8 months since he's had the title. So
why
February,
not put Bobby?
So why not put Bobby Lashley over? You can put him over on Big E if you want to keep Roman strong. Roman can pull the whole angle of, I wasn't beat, so I didn't lose, that type of thing. Now you continue that storyline between Bobby Lashley and Big E. Bobby Lashley still looks big and huge and credible as an opponent. But now, what is it? What's left for Bobby Lashley?
Why even bother to have the match on free TV? Why bother to have the match at all?
I think the route they're going is they're trying to be competitive with what AEW is doing. And AEW is putting out free matches because they only have their 4 pay-per-views a year, so they can kind of do that. But, you know, they're not AEW. I think that's what it comes down to. Are they trying to compete with Monday Night Football? Sure, I'm sure they are. But I don't think many people are watching Monday Night Football as much as they used to. And, you know, I just think that they're just, again, trying to get that rating. So what's going to get a rating? Let's put Roman back on Monday Night Raw. Let's make a 3-way, have all the titles out there, make everything mean nothing. And, yeah, they may have gotten a rating, but what's it going to do? What are you going to do next week?
Was it explained, as someone that didn't see it, that Roman was there because of that, what do they call it, the brand-to-brand invite, where 4 times a year a superstar can appear on another show?
No, I don't.
There was no explanation.
So.
Okay, they gave it even less
may have
thought.
been. Yeah, there may have. Don't quote me on that. There may have been. I watched it kind of. I turned it on well after the 8 o'clock hour, and was kind of fast forwarding through, the stuff that I had, didn't really want to pay attention to. Maybe they did, but I don't think so. I don't know. I still think, not to cut you off, but they have this draft starting on Friday, right? Like, fuck the draft. Let's just go back to putting everybody on all the shows, but just limiting the amount of time that they're on there. Unify all the fucking titles, make one champion, and then just don't put Roman out there every freaking week. It's just the way it goes. You have plenty of freaking talent now to where you could do that. Roman's not making house shows right now, so why does he need to be on every TV? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, as far as the match goes, I look at it like this. Big E just won the title. He obviously shouldn't be losing as much as he should have never won it. Lashley just lost it. He shouldn't be losing. Roman shouldn't be losing to anybody. So why bother to have that match unless you do a complete schmaz where you're trying to get someone new or something different in the equation? I don't believe they did that. I didn't see the show. I don't know. As far as the draft goes, it's such a great concept, but such a complete and utter poor execution. And it says to me that no one involved in the process has ever watched a Major League Sporting draft in their life as far as how it's done. Remember, there were years where a computer would pick where the superstar would go, or there were years where, Raw in round one, Raw gets 3 picks and SmackDown gets 2, and Raw always gets to pick first, and Raw always gets the extra pick. I mean, it's just so poorly executed. It's like, why even bother to do it if you can't take it seriously? And then, just a few weeks after the draft, you're supposed to actually care that they have the head-to-head, the brands head-to-head at Survivor Series, when there's no attachment to these wrestlers to either brand to begin with.
Yeah, so I had put out a tweet the other day, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I think it was on Monday when they started talking about the draft again. And I said, okay, so there's no general manager for each show. They just have Sonya Deville and Adam Pearce on both shows as like the matchmakers. So who, in essence, picks the drafts? And then I put out, so I'm guessing they're going to put USA quote-unquote officials and Fox officials into a room, and they're the ones that are going to pick their draft?
Remember the year they had those 2 boardrooms filled with people that no one had ever seen before, giving each other 5, and
so I guess that's what they're going to do again. Where
they could use the same video footage, and no one would know the difference.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I think they just need to do away with the separate brands, and I know, like, I get it. There's more to it. Fox wants their exclusive guys, and USA wants their exclusive guys, and there's a big power struggle or whatever the case might be. That's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff that I'm just not privy to, nor do I want to be privy to it. But the reason why I feel AEW is doing a slightly better job as far as execution goes is because if I miss on Wednesday, I might be able to. I don't have to wait the following Wednesday to see a guy that I want to watch, whether it be in a match or on-screen appearance or on commentary or something. The storylines continue. I don't know. I just think that it's a big miss for WWE in the draft. They've never done it good, and I don't think they're going to do it good again this year.
Do you want to know what I would do?
I would love to hear it.
And you know me, I'm always one to try and shy away from an opinion, but my draft would be different. What I would do is this. Every year, a couple of weeks after WrestleMania, I would do a draft where both Raw and SmackDown get, say, 3 picks each, and they take from what they want from NXT. And what I would do, and again, this would require a lot of pacing and patience, but what I would do is with the actual wrestlers sign, and again, think of the day and age we're in with what WWE does. But let's just eliminate the lack of common sense that's gone into everything since coronavirus began. But what I would do is from, say, Labor Day Monday, whenever Monday Night Football begins, through Halloween, I would make those 2 months a free agent window where wrestlers are signed for contracts for X amount of years, and those contracts expire on September 7th of whatever year it may be, And then you have, instead of 1 week of a draft, you have potential 8 weeks, 16 episodes of superstars signing as free agents to different brands. And you never know when they're going to show up. You don't even have to technically announce what the free agent pool is that year. But it gives you 2 months of something interesting, engaging, surprising to happen. And as far as the draft goes, I think it would make the NXT debuts a little bit more important. Coming a couple of weeks after WrestleMania, you'd freshen up the shows after or freshen up Raw and SmackDown after the big show of the year. And then you have something to look forward to twice a year instead of just once.
I get what you're saying. I don't know if I fully 100% agree with what you're saying. I don't know if I'm a huge fan of prolonging it as much as, the 8 weeks that you're saying. And I also don't feel NXT is in a position right now to where they can throw them into the mix, because everybody who gets brought up from NXT gets either a name change or a gimmick change or some kind of change. So it doesn't really make much sense unless with this new NXT 2.0, if they're trying to rebrand NXT to make it to where they can bring those guys up and just keep them as is, then it would work.
If they couldn't follow my concept of being able to groom 6 people a year to come up from NXT, they've got a lot more problems than we even realize they do.
Yeah, I think they do have a lot
the
more
reason
problems.
in my 2-month theory, you could even cut that down to a month if you wanted to. But my thought is, okay, why not have a period of free agency like you do in every other sport? You know what I mean? With the draft, the show is, nowadays, instead of 1 night, it's a 2-night thing. But it's over and done with at that point. Instead, you have, mystery in surprises over the course of a couple of months. Who is going to switch shows when, where, why, how? I think it would be much more interesting than having Stephanie McMahon come out and say, the first pick for Raw in round 1 and the first pick for SmackDown in round 5. And I mean, who cares at that point?
Well, I would even go this far. So when I think of a draft, say in football or baseball or whatever the case might be, you're drafting kids from college or who are, eligible to throw their name in the hat. They're not even players yet for, say, the NFL, right?
Right.
So why not only make the draft for NXT? And for that straight, say, I don't know, the 2 months that you're talking, only put NXT's people out there on the mainstream, and then you can get drafted to either a Raw or a SmackDown, whether it be your 6 guys or your 8 guys or whatever the case might be. And if you don't get drafted, then you stay in NXT. If you do get drafted, you're on the main roster. Let's not even have guys switch shows. Let's just keep it like that and make it keep it a minor league system feeding into the major leagues.
Well, I think the one thing we agree on is that the draft, it should revolve around NXT.
Yes, 100%.
That I would not prolong. I would turn that into maybe, 3 picks one night on Raw, 3 picks the next night on the next episode of SmackDown or something like that. The draft should be short, sweet, and to the point. I think having a little free agency window like you see in other sports, maybe 2 months is too long, as I came up with, but I think it's a lot more interesting than what they're probably going to do, which is probably have Stephanie walk out in her heels to make her taller than 90% of the roster, and do the usual, okay, round 1, Raw gets 3 picks, then SmackDown gets 2. And then in round 2, same thing. And it's never explained why Raw always gets to go first.
Yeah, but here's the other thing. Why not play it up a little bit more and even say, just like they do with the NFL, where you want to secure say Raw is the first one, maybe SmackDown gives up its 2nd and 3rd pick just to get that number 1 pick, something along those lines.
Bundle them up,
making
like
trades, something along those lines. Make it interesting, like it's actual real life draft, as opposed to, USA's pissed off that Roman's not on the USA Network, so we're going to draft him to Raw. And that's in essence what they're doing.
I think we should rewind the conversation to about 5 minutes ago, where I said, I don't think anyone involved in the process has ever watched a Major League Sports draft before. Because look at how it's been
100%.
executed since When did they start to do the drafts? The only one that came across as real was maybe the first one in 2002 when Vince came out and picked a guy, and then Flair came out and picked a guy, and then Vince came out and picked a guy.
Yeah.
At least that, was about as illogical as it gets. But anyway, we're running long on this segment. Anything you can add before we go to the commercial break?
No, let's hit the commercial break, and we come back. We'll dump some more shit on WWE.
All right, we're going to do a lot more dumping, folks, but if you need any dumping cleaned up, you know who you need, baby, the cleaning women. We'll be right back. Tickets are on sale now for our 20th anniversary Back to the 80s and 90s WrestleFest Birthday Bash, Saturday, November the 13th at Memorial Hall in Melrose, Massachusetts. Wrestling fans, join Boston Wrestling Sports this week as we explode into our 20th anniversary. Live events, live watch-alongs, new hosts, an inside look at ECW and shoot interviews 7 days per week. This Sunday night during WWE Extreme Rules, we have our annual Corner Skewer Cyber Mega Raffle for a lot of officially autographed WWE and NXT posters. That lot includes Adam Cole, baby, Johnny Gargano, NXT champion Tommaso Ciampa, the man challenging Roman Reigns, Finn Balor, Nikki Cross, pre-superhero and now Ring of Honor superstar EC3. On eBay, that's over a $250 value, and that is just the beginning. Once we sell $250 worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an autographed Leo Rush NXT 8x10 photo. Once we sell $500 worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an autographed NXT 2019 roster poster that is signed by all 15 superstars on the poster. Once we sell $1,000 worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an NXT 2018 roster poster that's signed by all 21 superstars on the poster. Once we sell $1,500 worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an autographed NXT Halloween Havoc 2020 one of 100 autograph poster signed by every superstar on it. Once we sell $2,000 worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an autographed NXT War Games 2020 one of 100 autograph poster signed by every superstar on it. Then once we hit $2,500 plus worth of raffle tickets, we're going to include an autographed NXT TakeOver Phoenix 2018 autograph poster, one of 50, signed by every superstar on the poster itself. If you want more superstar shoot interviews, if you want to help the great kids from Corner's Cure, this is the way to help. Raffle tickets on sale now at bostonwrestling.com.
Wrestling fans around the corner, around the world, I'm Dan Marty.
And I'm Mr. USA WWE Hall of Famer Tony Atlas.
The road to WrestleMania has begun. Wrestling fans are looking to add to their man caves. You got to see what we have in the eBay store.
Check it out.
Here's your chance to own a piece of history from the 2020 WWE Draft. On the second night, October the 12th, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, and Alexa Bliss unleashed hell on Andrade and Zelina Vega. This limited edition 11x14 collector's poster is number 26 of only 50 made, personally signed by both The Fiend and Alexa Bliss, direct from friends at WWE. Comes with certificate of authenticity hologram on the poster itself, suitable for framing. You'll also receive a bonus autographed mystery photo and an on-air shout-out as our thanks to you. Get this ultra-rare autographed Fiend and Alexa Bliss poster now. Wrestling fans, especially here in the Boston area, we want to thank our great friends at Red Rose for their support for all of our charitable endeavors and programming efforts. Red Rose is 2 years young and extremely thankful for all the support they've had from our neighbors here in Melrose and beyond for an amazing first 2 years. Red Rose thanks Melrose and all of the first responders who have fought the good fight and have never given up hope during these unprecedented times. We did it together. Follow Red Rose on Facebook for their anniversary special, facebook.com/Red Rose Melrose. You'll be glad you did. Open until 2 a.m. Red Rose will give you fresh, piping hot, mouth-watering food that'll put an ear-to-ear smile on even the toughest critic's face. Check out their full menu online at redrosema.com or give them a call, 781-620-1889. All right, wrestling fans, welcome back to our Sunday Delight. Wrestling Inside is stern but fair. It always cheers me up. As I've said before, I think out of all the shows we do, and we do them 7 days a week, personally, in my heart and in my soul, this one may be my favorite. That's how much I enjoy talking wrestling with Tiger. It's how much I'm looking forward to. Well, I think I'm going to see him November 13th. I know he's going to be at Memorial Hall, but we won't go down that route as of yet. But a lot to talk about in the King of Sports. We did a lot of burying, but luckily we know some ladies that can help the cleaning process. What else do we have going on in the world of professional wrestling since we last met up on a Sunday?
Well, I feel like there's so much going on. I just don't know where to start, and there's probably a lot of stuff that we missed.
Did we miss 2 weeks? I think we had
to. We
to.
did miss 2 weeks, yeah.
Because
I think the last show we did was it
It would have had to have been Labor Day weekend, yeah.
So that was All Out.
Yeah.
We're not going to go into All Out and what that entails, but I thought the All Out pay-per-view was pretty good. I like the debuts. I have to admit, I like what AEW is doing. I'm always going to be a WWE guy. So, I know that we shit on WWE a lot and, we don't agree with what they're per se doing on their TV show. It's not our TV show. It's Vince's Ice Cream Shop. If he likes strawberry, he's going to have strawberry on the menu. But, I'll always be a WWE guy. And I just want the product to get better, and I want it to be something that I really enjoy watching, and I want to get enthralled in it. Right now, I'm not enthralled in WWE. I just don't agree with a lot of stuff that they do. For AEW, I like some of the stuff that they're doing. I think that AEW debuted their guys very, very good, especially with Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and Ruby Soho and all these people. I just hope it doesn't get watered down too quickly, and I hope that they continue doing what they're doing on their TV shows.
Well, and this is going to come across as a knock, but I think the program has become so much better over the past few months. I read in some kind of an article I come across things on Twitter because I'm always on Twitter, but something where Tony Khan said he's basically taken the bull by the horn right now, and he is in charge of most of the major decisions. And I think that's good to take it out of the wrestlers' hands. And I think they're bringing in, and I'm sure there's no other way for it not to come across as a knock, but they're signing actual talented professional wrestlers to come in. Between Andrade, who's a guy that could be main eventing in WWE. Aleister Black had the potential to be an uppercard guy. Ruby Soho was what they had in the women's division was one of the more talented women. Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, CM Punk. These are great professional wrestlers, as opposed to Dark Order, as opposed to the alien woman wrestler that they have, as opposed to Orange Cassidy doing his kicks. I mean, those are things I have no interest in seeing whatsoever, anywhere, anytime, on any planet, on any galaxy, so I don't offend any alien lovers out there. But to bring in actual good professional wrestlers and put them in interesting concepts, that is something that I like to see, and I think they've done a very good job of that. I think the AEW television show as a whole has improved tremendously over the past few months, to the point where there's some weeks I've enjoyed it more than SmackDown. I can't deal with Raw at this point on television. And NXT, it's like, what have they done to you, baby?
Yeah, I agree. It's too bad about NXT. I think it's just kind of gone downhill. Even with the reboot, I'm interested to see what they do with some of the new guys, but they just do debut after new debut. For the 2 weeks that they've had the new show on, it's just too many people I can't keep track. It's good to see Tommaso Ciampa back on top and, kind of leading that crew. But, when you lose a guy like Adam Cole and, a lot of the other people that they've gotten rid of, it's going to make that show a little bit tougher. So it's going to be a long haul for that one.
I'm going to ask you my dumb person question. Sure. Samoa Joe, he just forfeited the title?
So apparently, yes, he forfeited the title. He relinquished it because apparently he's injured again and he didn't get cleared. So it's like, I
don't want to see anyone get injured. That's not why I'm laughing.
No, I've met Joe a bunch of times. I think he's a great guy, but you know what? You got to know when enough is enough. If your body can't sustain working in the ring, go find something else to do within, the realm of professional wrestling. There's plenty of other things to do, whether that be in WWE or somewhere else. And who knows? Nobody knows what's wrong with him.
He was a great color commentator. I know that. They just had him stop.
But it's unfortunate. I don't know if it's a concussion thing or It's his neck again. I'm not sure. They didn't say on the thing that I read, but and he did it on Twitter, which was even.
He forfeited the title on Twitter?
Yeah.
My God.
Here's my ultimate guess.
I gotta hear it because I don't have one at this point.
Yeah, my guess is that he's not actually hurt, and with the new, I don't know, with the new 2.0 coming out, they wanted a change. I don't see how Tommaso Ciampa is that change, but they just didn't want Joe there, and the only reason they had Joe in the ring was to get the belt off Karrion Kross, to keep him strong and not have to lose to a guy that's 5 foot nothing, 180 pounds. Yeah. So that's the only guess I could come up with.
I'm blown away by. If you're right, I'm blown away by that. I hope if there is an injury that it is nothing too severe. I think Joe is a strong talent. I would have never taken him off commentary, but again, that's just one man's opinion. They were very excited to add Adnan Virk to the team after WrestleMania and freshen things up a little bit, but. I hope they continue to push Carmelo Hayes, the former Christian Casanova here in Boston Wrestling MWF, especially now that he's a little bit thicker, that he just reeks of potential. Maybe what he lacks in height, he gains for in ability and athleticism. I'm excited for the future for him. I like that little faction with, what do they call him in NXT? Swerve Scott.
I don't know.
It had a good vibe to it. I don't know what it's like under this new 2.0 version. I haven't really seen it yet. The logo confused me. I always took it as a compliment that they borrowed our yellow and black because we were the original yellow and black, were we not, sir?
Yes, you were the originals, but now you're the only because they don't have yellow and black anymore.
Do you think we should take their rainbow colored from NXT and try and change ours?
No,
you like what we have. We should
stay with what works.
All right.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
No, I mean, for the future of that show, would it have been a bad idea to put on WWE Network? Maybe not. I don't think they should have taken away from the fans what they liked on USA on Tuesday nights. Just because they quote unquote lost a ratings war that I think was pretty non-existent to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Their developmental system couldn't beat AEW's A-Team in the ratings every week. Okay. All right, there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. Yeah. These are guys that are still learning, and there was still a lot of weeks that they would do 6, 7, 800,000 people that would tune in to watch the show, which to USA Network had enough value that they signed it to a long-term deal for a good chunk of change. But, I can understand them wanting to try and get new faces out working in front of television cameras and live people and things like that. So I think it's a good idea. If I was asked, my opinion would have been, okay, let's start NXT 2.0 for WWE Network. Make it an exclusive.
Yeah, I honestly think that the change isn't really have to do with, the whole Wednesday Night Wars and things like that. I honestly think if you look at who the NXT product and who's been brought up to the main roster within the past, 2-3 years, it seems to me like not many people kind of stay the same and or have an impact when they come up. You can make the argument of, say, Finn Balor had an impact when he came up, but he ultimately kind of changed his type of gimmick and things. And Sami Zayn changed, and maybe Kevin Owens is the same. But what kind of impact is he having now? I honestly think that they changed it to where when somebody goes to the main roster, it's not going to be this drastic change. It's going to be, I'll use what's his name? Rick Steiner's son now, Braun Breaker. Even though his name sucks. When they decide to bring him up to the main roster, I don't think you're going to see much of a change, whether it be name, gear, things like that. I think it's just going to be he's ready to go up, and that's how they're going to introduce him because he's already got that kind of, I don't know if it's a following or he's been on TV for a while. I don't think that they want to insult the audience as much as they've been insulting them with all of the changes that they make. And Karrion Kross is a perfect example of somebody who was killing everybody in NXT, and they bring him up and put a mask on him and make him into some kind of, I don't know, demolition type character, and he loses his first night out. It doesn't make much sense.
Well, it worked well for Retribution, but I think it was this show that I mentioned it on, or maybe all of them, but I don't think it was necessarily a bad thing that when WWE sent Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard and Johnny Ace and Nick Khan and those types down to evaluate what they had, and they said, well, what we have primarily a bunch of little guys that we're never going to feature as our, quote unquote, A crew on Raw and SmackDown. So, if they want to go the bigger route, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, because I find generally a roster of guys that are well under 6 feet tall to be something that's going to help the product in the long run. They might be great athletes, great athleticism. The cruiserweight division was something great for WCW during the Nitro era. But, if you want to have a division like that, why not just enhance 205 Live? I mean, is Johnny Gargano ever going to come up and be a top-tier player on Raw or SmackDown? I couldn't see that happening. I don't think it would have any credibility to it. He'd look too small. That match with Karrion Kross they did, that 5-way at, I think it was the In Your House takeover. I mean, that really exposed how small everybody was, to me.
100%. To me, too, because that was the first thing I saw was like, I knew those guys weren't like super, super tall, but then standing next to Karrion Kross, it was like, wow, even somebody like Tommaso Ciampa, who's built very, very good, he looked tiny, and it's too bad, because I like those guys' work. I think they're all fantastic, fabulous workers, but unfortunately, it's Vince's world. He wants big, 6'5" guys that are jacked to the gills, and the old saying is if you're not going to turn heads in an airport, then you're not going to be the WrestleMania main event. And unfortunately, a lot of those guys that are there now who are fabulous just don't turn those heads.
Well, I wouldn't mind seeing a couple of smaller guys get a chance, but to have a roster where it's now primarily all undersized guys, I don't think that helps with the popularity of what WWE is. I think most people, outside of the diehards that are online, commenting on everything every day, they look at wrestling as what I think you and I do, as longtime fans, which should be, simulated violence, action, adventure, and things like that. And when you see guys that are 5'8" trying to be that, it's almost a joke.
Yeah, it's I link it to this, where right now in AEW, you have Miro, who is very impressive looking. He's in great shape, probably the best shape of his life. And he's in a storyline right now with Sammy Guevara. And I look at that and I say, if Miro doesn't eat him up and spit him out, then AEW is not doing a justice to Miro. And everything that they do is from there on out with Miro is just, it means nothing. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But it just on paper just doesn't look right, and unfortunately, it doesn't look right when it's out in front of the camera either.
No, you're right. Miro should absolutely destroy Sammy Guevara, but they seem to love him. He has his Sons of Anarchy like Chris Jericho vest that the rest of them in that faction have nowadays. And there's nothing wrong with Sammy Guevara. I think he's a great athlete. It's just he doesn't come across to me as anyone that's a danger, that's a threat. He almost sounds like, from what we've described, he should be a headliner on NXT.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you know what? And it's, again, we have all these guys. Even on the main roster, you have guys that aren't, super huge guys. I thought that's always what the Intercontinental title was for. Back in the day when I was coming up watching, your smaller guys, your Randy Savages, your Bret Harts, your Shawn Michaels, even, British Bulldog for that fact. Those were the guys that were your workhorses of the Federation. They were the smaller guys compared to your Hogans and Andres and, Bundys and Studs and even Undertakers. You put the Intercontinental title on them. They went out and had the 5-star matches, and then everything else was a spectacle. Why can't you just go back to what worked? Why try to change that?
Well, I think the problem there is, at least while they may not have been Hogan size, at least they look like men.
Yeah, that's true.
They weren't the Kevin Nash quote that I always bring up. They look like Abercrombie and Fitch models now.
Yeah.
They're these little slight 175-pound guys that are 5'7", and I mean, okay, if you want to have one show where you have that on it, fine. But you can't build an entire professional wrestling organization around it, at least if you're WWE.
Right. No, I agree. We'll have to wait and see where how things pan out. Maybe this draft will be something that's going to be spectacular and make the big change, and it'll swerve us all. But I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen that way.
Well, I'd still like to see them or some promotion try and figure out a way to clump together the 3 Wyatts that are available right now and do something substantial with them. I think it would be of great interest. Whether it be, imagine the shock value if during that triple threat match they had on Raw, if they brought back Wyatt, Strowman, and Rowan, and they interfered.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, the place would have gone apeshit for something like that. And it would have
100%.
added a layer of interest to a show that's very flat, very boring. When you're at the point when you have to have Nia Jax, when she's healthy, sometimes wrestle twice and be involved with 3 or 4 skits with Reginald, you're on the weak side when it comes to roster depth.
Well, what's funny, now that you mentioned Nia Jax, not to get off a topic, but, something that WWE finally did right, and I think I tweeted about this too, was they turned Shayna Baszler into a killer again, and they turned her on Nia Jax. They made Shayna pretty much Shayna manhandled Nia Jax, broke her arm, or whatever the case might be. It was fabulous. It was the best thing that I've seen on a Raw in a long time, and it finally made Shayna look like the killer that she is, and I'm just hoping that they continue down that road with it.
Good. Well, at least it sounds like they've done something in that women's division right. I read something online that something I've been saying for years, that a lot of people got up and left during a horrendous Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss segment.
That I don't know, because I didn't watch the segment. But, Alexa tweeted back and said that, that didn't happen. So I don't know. Maybe that's just Meltzer.
I don't think she sat there and watched the people get up and leave. I think she was kind of focused on her segment. WWE has personnel where they move seat fillers around throughout the show, so I don't think she'd even notice if they did get up and leave. She's looking out into an audience of darkness pretty much, with those bright lights that are on her. So I think Alexa was just going to toe the company line on that. I witnessed it myself when they tried to shove the first women's pay-per-view Hell in the Cell here in Boston. A good portion of folks got up and left because they didn't want to see it. I don't think anyone, because you can't say it in 2021, or you're a horrible human being, or you're sexist, or whatever it may be, but this is just some people that don't want to watch women's wrestling, especially bad women's wrestling, especially bad women's wrestling skits with someone dressed up in makeup with a deranged-looking stuffed animal on a swing set.
Well, and that's the point I was just about to make was I don't mind the women's wrestling if they're actually in there wrestling. This whole storyline of the doll, and they did it, with I can't remember who they actually just did it. Oh, with Eva Marie, and now they're doing it with Charlotte.
She had a doll too?
No, I mean, with Alexa, it's bringing the doll out, and it's possessing everybody, and it's possessed her, and now she gave a doll to Charlotte, and Charlotte ripped its head off. It's just, I understand you need to have variety and you need to have storyline, but why this? It's just too hokey for me. I'm not one for hokiness, and that's what it is.
No, The Fiend I enjoyed. Mr. Rogers, Bray Wyatt, I detested, and I detest whatever it is Alexa Bliss is supposed to be.
See, that's where we differ. I didn't mind the Mr. Rogers stuff just because it gave it depth, and it made, to me, it kind of brought it full circle because it was this fun-loving guy who was being possessed by this other thing. Now with Alexa, where it's just, she doesn't have that other side to her. It's just always on the dark side, so to speak. So I don't know.
I think that the dark side needs to lighten up.
Yes, but that's the thing. How do you come back from it? So you have to destroy the doll, and then Alexa Bliss comes back. It's like
they have to go the route of what was that show on NBC? Deidre Hall on Days of Our Lives when she was possessed by the devil, because that's on TV again. I guess she's possessed again. They're going to have an exorcism, and I mean, wouldn't that be something? They'd have to maybe bring in Slick since he's a reverend. Maybe he.
Well, no. Who's the Dr. Father Jurgen. We could bring him up
Father
there.
Jurgen Leas, he could come out.
Yeah.
John Cena Sr., he hands out the communion at Catholic Masses on
What
the
about-
weekends when he's not booked.
What about Von Johnson and his Reiki?
He could Reiki them while they're being, the body. Well, from what I've seen in horror movies, the body can go into convulsions while the exorcism occurs. Maybe Commissioner Von Johnson could help out and I'm sure he'd love to Reiki Alexa Bliss, but that's.
I'm sure he'd love to Reiki anybody that would say yes to it.
But I mean, I just, like you said, how do you ever bring her back from whatever? I don't even know how. If the average person asked me, what is this? I don't even know how I could describe it to them. Is she possessed? Is the doll
I don't know.
possessed her? At least the Fiend had a little, as much as logic as a Fiend could have, there was a little bit of logic to him in that evil side, in the hurt, heal, and so on and so forth. There was and I think a lot of that was him, that he contributed to it. I have
but now
no
he's
idea.
Gone, so it makes no sense anymore.
It should just be done away with.
Yeah, I agree. But again, where do you go from here? You kill off the doll. They should have just, once they decided they were going to fire Bray Wyatt, they should have just had somebody burn the doll, put her back in her regular Alexa Bliss gear or whatever the case might be, and just let her do her thing. But I don't know.
There has not been one positive to come out of the whole thing.
Well, not yet, at least, no.
They should.
Well, maybe merchandise sales. Maybe she's selling a lot of Lily dolls. Who knows?
I guess maybe I could see that. Maybe she's moving more merchandise now than she would have if she was just regular Alexa Bliss. But I think of all the fans that had just turned off to it, like reported this week, all these people just got up and left. And you know what? I'm not saying that the quote-unquote Dave Meltzer report is 100% spot on, but from what I've observed myself, is that a lot of people get up and if they don't leave the building, they leave the arena with what's going on when the women do come out, whether they go to the bathroom or get something to eat or a T-shirt or something like that. That's not a good sign for the amount of time they give the women on these television shows. Yeah,
I agree. Every show needs that quote-unquote popcorn match. Unfortunately, right now, whenever the women are out there, it seems like that's the popcorn moment, and it's happening more and more. Many more segments than it should.
And it's a third of the show.
Exactly.
It wasn't it was the hashtag was give divas a chance, not give them, again, a third of the show.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens going down the road. I don't think it's going to change at all. It's unfortunate because some of them are great. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, we were at MSG a couple weeks ago, and the dark match for the opening dark match was Charlotte against Rhea Ripley, and I'm not going to lie, it was a really, really good, solid, 10, 12-minute match. That's including entrances and stuff. So the women can work. It's just the stuff that's being written for them. They're doing the best they can, and I just don't want to see them as much as I do see them.
Well, I don't know. They're giving me less and less of a reason to watch. I've never watched this little wrestling in my whole life.
Yeah. I'm watching more wrestling, but it's not WWE, and that's unfortunately.
Yeah. The fact that AEW has me more interested in what they're doing, where they have WWE has given them the ability to line up a virtual all-star team with all the releases and people that just don't want to be there anymore, that let their contracts expire.
And the thing that's going to hurt them even more is how many more people have their contracts coming up that are just going to decide not to re-sign and go somewhere else. Seems like Kevin Owens might be the next one up on that list.
Good riddance. I think we discussed that one, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we differ. I'm a fan of Kevin Owens, but and I like the stuff that he does. I just don't think they use him properly. They got him in a thing with Corbin right now, so who knows?
And who else did I read is coming up soon? Gargano.
Yeah, Gargano's coming up soon. I don't know if it would be smart for him to leave now that he's got a kid on the way. So he might stick around and keep that secure money coming in, because who knows where he would end up.
Well, and on the flip side, who knows if they're even going to want him? Look at who they've already gotten rid of. Are they going to want to keep little Johnny?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he'll go back to Ring of Honor and make $100 a shot.
I'd go to that Sopranos song, "Time to Say Goodbye."
Well, speaking of Sopranos, you're gonna check it, not the segue, but out of wrestling. But You gonna check out that movie next Friday?
Oh, is that when it opens up?
October 1st. I'm very excited. I'm a huge Sopranos fan. I'm very much looking forward to watching that movie on Friday.
Now, as someone that is confused and utterly hates the fact that they have these on streaming services the same day they're at the movie theater, is this available at the movie theater or just on a streaming service?
Both. So you can go to the movies, or if you have HBO Max, you can watch it on HBO Max.
See, you got to go to, I'm a movie theater guy. You got to go to the theater. I like my popcorn. I like my drink. I like the ambiance of a large theater. I like not being distracted by phones or people or lights or computers. I like the movie theater. But that's
I agree. No, I agree. I think for something like this, I'm not overly, let me put it this way. I don't love the movie theater. I love to go when there's like nobody there. If there's a lot of people there, then I just can't stomach it, because you usually have your talkers or the people that take their phones out or the ones that annoy me. So I try to go when there's nobody around. So maybe that afternoon matinee when there's nobody there, but those are few and far in between. I might try to catch this one in the theater, and then again I'll watch it on HBO Max afterwards, because I'm sure I'll watch it more than once.
Well, if it's any good, I'm sure you will. I used to actually like to go an awful lot to the theaters by myself for my Zen place. Actually, believe it or not, on Sunday afternoons.
Yeah, I agree. Where my wife and I they always
I would go with no one.
No, I know, but that's what I'm saying is I'll get to it. Where I'm with my wife because we're complete opposites. They say opposites attract, so we can never agree on a movie. So if I'm going to the movies, it's typically by myself.
Really? All right.
It is.
Even with the kids.
Yeah, I've taken my son a couple times, and my daughter's not ready for that stuff yet.
She's not ready for the movie theater.
No, she's got worse ADD than anybody I know. So she'll be bouncing off the walls and wanting to go for a bathroom break or getting more popcorn or whatever the case.
And you just waste a lot of money on nothing.
Exactly.
If you want to bring a hot date, I got 2 of them down here every other Sunday. You get 26 shots a year.
Maybe I'll book them to clean up afterwards, but I don't need a hot date for anything these days.
Well, there you go. At least you're settled in your as settled as one can be.
Very much so.
The tiger has been caged. Carol Baskin got her hands into you.
Ew, disgusting.
But what else do we got in wrestling? AEW, we talked about it. They sold out the big what was it? A tennis stadium, and that was really a good look for them. They're bringing in some great pro wrestlers, which is a really good thing for them. I missed Rampage. Do they still have that 4-man team for the 1-hour show?
You know what? I didn't watch Rampage this week. I know it was taped at Arthur Ashe on Wednesday.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's what they're doing now is they tape it on Wednesdays. Who knows?
I don't think it would hurt. But, I mean, the problem is with them is they have so much content they have to fill each week with those 15-match YouTube shows, which I still don't get, other than the fact they want to tape a lot of content. It's almost like they're trying to make up for a developmental system they never had.
So apparently they're doing those YouTube shows out of Disney, out of one of the studios in Disney, Universal. Yeah, so I think they're doing it out of there because they just had a big taping down there for those shows because they're not doing them on the road anymore. So they must be getting paid to be there somewhat. I can't see Tony Khan putting out money to have an additional building and additional expenses besides bringing talent in. And I think they did 4 weeks worth of taping. So who knows?
Well, I will be there in about a month. So maybe if they're there, I'll have a chance to poke my nose in and see what it's all about.
Yeah, we'll have to keep the listeners abreast of it all.
We'll have to. Well, we know you. If it's one thing you like, it's abreast, but or 2. But we'll have to tape on Friday that week because I will be departing on Saturday.
All right. Well, you just let me know. As long as my schedule permits it, we'll be in charge.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway,
I was impressed with the sellout. I was impressed with the end of the pay-per-view. I've been impressed pretty much with a lot of what they've been doing lately. I think, while there has been a lot to knock about AEW, I will say that, I think they're finally starting to get their feet under them. People have to remember that this still is a brand new promotion that debuted on television less than 2 years ago. It's not this solidified organization such as a Ring of Honor or an Impact that's been in existence almost 20 years. I think you have to give them some room for error. Even if there's been a lot of talent on those TV shows I would have never booked myself, they are starting to, whether it's been the money well spent, whether it's just the quality of the talent that's become available due to contracts expiring or just people that WWE's released. I mean, it's become a much, 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 much more enjoyable show, or shows, I should say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm finding myself watching more AEW than anything else these days. Not that I've ever watched Ring of Honor or Impact, but even more so than WWE. And it's maybe I'm watching it because of all the new people that are there, or even how they structure the shows. I think is a bit better. Do they still have room for improvement? Yes, I think they do. But I think they're headed in the right direction. I think Tony Khan having his hands in it is good. Take it out of the hands of all the wrestlers. It's good to see that. I don't think that the Young Bucks or even those executives, or even Kenny is an executive anymore. I don't know. I think they're just talent. It's good to see, Cody is kind of keeping himself more behind the scenes than in front of the camera, although he did just come back the other day. So I think they just need to keep doing what they're doing, and make sure that the storylines are compelling and that they're putting the right matches out there at the right point in time.
How high up the food chain would Cody Rhodes be in WWE right now?
He wouldn't be. I think he would have been one of those guys that got released.
You think they would have got rid of him, really?
Yeah. I think they would have released him. He's probably one of those, at this point in time, would have been one of those guys that they weren't doing too much with, and didn't really foresee him as a main eventer, but was also probably going to be paying him quite a bit of money. And that was that during budget cuts, COVID cuts, or whatever the case might be. That would have been one they got rid of.
See, now I could see him being finally getting to the point where I never looked at him as someone that was going to be a regular pay-per-view main eventer, but almost a guy that was in the weekly TV main events to get those guys ready. And almost like along the lines of maybe a Finn or someone like that. But certainly a top tier. I think he has the talent to be a top tier player in WWE.
I think that I don't disagree. I think he's a great talent. I just don't think he's a babyface. I think they need to, especially the other day, seemed like Alistair or Malachi Black was getting more of the babyface reaction than Cody, and I think they need to turn Cody heel.
Yeah, weren't they in New York though?
They were, but
of course they're going to cheer the heel in New York. Come on, look at where they are.
That's true. Yeah. But, can we use that as the excuse? I don't know.
Well, let's see if it's the same in Des Moines or Kansas City or Dallas.
But do they ever go out there? Because it seems like I've noticed that they kind of stay within niche wrestling markets like Chicago, New York. I know did they go to Boston yet, or they're going up to Boston?
They will be here the day after we get back from Florida. So I think the 27th of October.
Yeah, so I feel like they kind of stay within the niche of where wrestling is big, and they don't go to those smaller cities, like in the Midwest and stuff like that. But who knows? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I hope they do well no matter where they go, because it's good for the industry as a whole. And I look forward to see what happens, who comes in next, because there's a lot of quality bodies out there that don't have contracts right now.
I think the next guy that they're going to bring in is Bray Wyatt. I originally thought that Impact was going to try to scoop him up, but I haven't seen much rumblings of Bray Wyatt at all anywhere. So I think, I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I know that it looks like Braun Strowman's going to end up at Impact, which I don't know what type of impact he's going to have there. No pun intended. And who knows about Eric Rowan? I just don't. I think if they didn't pick him up already, they're not going to pick him up.
God, he's been a free agent now for over a year, right? He was in that massive.
Well over a year, yeah.
He was one of the first of those when they did the first Corona cut back in the spring of 2020. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. And he, I think, has only done that one thing during Brody's AEW farewell.
Yeah.
And or memorial, I should say. And I think he's only done a few signings here and there, but nothing else really. So who knows what they're going to do with him. My ultimate foreshadow is that they bring Bray Wyatt in, and that he's going to be the new leader of the Dark Order.
No, see, I would bring him in and kill all 9 members of the Dark Order.
And who knows, maybe they'll do that, but it seems like the Dark Order is starting to implode a little bit. They don't have a leader. Nobody knows who they are. And then
no one wants to see them.
No,
I hate the Dark
do
Order.
Yeah,
I hate
agree.
the Dark Order. I hate the Dark Order.
And I don't disagree, but I don't think they're going to get rid of it right now just because it's still it's only been a year since Brody's passing, so I think they'll keep it around a little bit longer.
Well, this is almost going to sound cruel, but I mean, how attached at the hip was he to the Dark Order? He was only with the company active for several months. Am I correct?
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct. Yeah, I mean,
this isn't like J.J. Dillon and the Horsemen we're talking about.
No, but I don't know. I think it's more of if I'm just foreshadowing the way that they think, I could see them if they disband it. Maybe they feel it's like a disrespectful thing to them. I don't know.
I almost think it's disrespectful that they attached him to it to begin with.
Yeah,
that guy, what's his name? Evil Uno? Please.
Yeah.
I mean,
the one with the mask? Is that the guy with the mask?
The one with the mask is the worst.
Yeah.
Well, I think several of them have masks, but the one
which
that
is
talks,
probably better. Yeah, it's probably better that they have masks because God knows.
It would even be worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a gift.
But
well, we don't want to knock them too much. But I think we've gone a little overtime as we get ready for Extreme Rules. Before we go, anything on the big show tonight?
I just hope it's a good, solid show. I'm not banking on it, but I'm always pulling for WWE to come out at the end. So I hope it's a good, solid show with. The guys and girls work hard and give the fans what they want.
Any predictions?
I can't foresee really anything big happening. Maybe the Street Profits win, maybe, and take the tag titles back. But I think that would be the only thing that I could really foreshadow. Everything else I think is kind of cut and dry. They have. I don't know. I think everything's going to kind of stay the same, and then you're going to see Bianca Belair against Becky Lynch. I think Becky's going to go over, and then Bianca goes to Raw. I think Roman goes over on Finn. Finn goes to Raw. I think Damian Priest keeps the U.S. title. I think the Street Profits go over. The Usos maybe, but probably not. And
I wouldn't go that route.
Yeah, I doubt it. Just because the Usos are still relatively new with the titles and they kind of need them. With the storyline with Roman and the Bloodline and Carmella and Liv Morgan, I can give two shits about, so I don't even care.
That's a match that's on pay-per-view.
Yeah,
Carmella and Liv Morgan.
Yeah, hey, you gotta, like you said, you gotta have that popcorn match.
There's a lot of different ways you could get me up to go and get popcorn that wouldn't be as abusive as that.
And on that note.
All right, wrestling fans, for my partner in crime, Tiger Mulligan, I'm Dan Marty. Don't forget, tickets are on sale now as Boston Wrestling celebrates 2 decades of existence. Saturday night, November the 13th, from the historical Memorial Hall, downtown Melrose, Massachusetts. Join a host of superstars for a VIP exclusive Q&A, autographs, photos, and a night of hot, interactive, live professional wrestling that's going to blow the roof off of Memorial Hall. Tickets are on sale now at bostonwrestling.com. They're going so fast, I might not even be able to get one, but that's a different story for a different time. Of course, the Patreon is heating up, baby. Patreon.com/Boston Wrestling. Kevin Sullivan shares an amazing story with you on the night Haku turned into a werewolf when they were on the road in WCW in a Patreon exclusive. And of course, don't forget, tonight live at 8 p.m., not only are we going to have our Extreme Rules watch along, knock on wood, as long as the technology is working, thanks to those hard-working cleaning ladies, but we're going to have a Corner's Cure mega raffle where you can win, depending upon how many raffle tickets we sell, anywhere from 6 to 12 autographed WWE and NXT posters. Check out bostonwrestling.com and our social media so you can get your raffle tickets, enjoy the big show, and whether you win the raffle, lose the raffle, you're a winner in general because you're helping out some kids that really deserve to have a smile put on their face and healthy bodies to live in. So for Tiger Mulligan, I'm Dan Marty. We'll see you next Sunday. Same different bad time because we'll hopefully be back at 10 p.m., but same bad channel. Good afternoon from Boston. Thank you for joining us. Please give the video a big thumbs up, leave us a comment, and subscribe to the channel to enjoy more great content. Don't forget, you can help keep wrestling legends working. Check out our eBay store and join the Boston Wrestling family at patreon.com/Boston Wrestling so we can produce more in-depth shoot interviews.